to the end of retirement. But what we know today, and we're seeing evidence, is that Gen X and boomer lawyers are not slowing down, they're speeding up. They're doing things even more enthusiastically than they did before. And so that's why we call this the Wonder Years. And I'm so happy to have our guest today, Dan Cotter, because he has certainly been an example of a Gen X who has definitely uh, increased his vitality, his enthusiasm, and indeed his fitness. Uh, Dan, your sons recently, did they recently graduate or something? I know something about your sons were moving on and out of the house.
Well, thanks for having me, Pamela. And yes, they both in the last 2 years, both of them have moved to Kansas City, and both are employed there. They don't live together, but my wife and I have been empty nesters since the end of 2023.
Wow. Okay. And you recently have been making quite a few changes. One of the things about Dan, before I turn it over to him, is that I know that he has always been a very avid reader, and he's been able to like share that with the LinkedIn community here. And he's also been very involved in a fitness regime. And before I turn it over to him, one of the things that we really want to emphasize as we enter the wonder years, which I'm a boomer, so I am definitely in the wonder years, is one of the most important things that's going to help us to increase ourselves and to become more vital and to make more money and enjoy our careers and enjoy our families is health and fitness, our mental, physical, and emotional health. If we don't have that, then okay, we're going to get old and wither away. So it's very important that we place an importance and a priority of our health and fitness. And I have personally witnessed through Dan's posts his commitment to his fitness and his health. So you want to share a little bit about that with our audience?
Sure. So like many during COVID, and with my sons living at home, my eating habits and diet and things were not the greatest at the end of 2022, going into 2023. And so I saw an ad for an Anytime Fitness 6-week challenge to see if it was small group training, some dietary oversight, some other activities, and decided to sign up for it, and really started focusing. And like you said, on LinkedIn, I post on it. Not so much. It's not for any other purpose, but really accountability and discipline, just to hold myself accountable to my followers and people on LinkedIn for check-ins. And it's been great. I won the challenge, the 6-week challenge. I lost 20 pounds in that first 6 weeks, and then the problem was that the gym had some turnover in its trainers. It didn't have programs again, and then it didn't start again until about October. I did a second one and ended right before Thanksgiving of 2023. I didn't lose another 20 pounds, but I lost about 12 or so. But the total since I started really thinking about this has been in the 45 to 50 pound range.
Wow,
and as you said,
job.
Pamela, one of the things that I really, when I started on this journey, I mean, it was hard, doing some of the stuff. A lot of this stuff is like Pilates or a lot of obliques, and was very sore the days after, and wasn't able to necessarily do the full minutes or whatever it was. But one of the things that I committed to back then, because when your health isn't the greatest, when you're not feeling as well, you're tired, you don't have the energy and stuff in these winter years, as you mentioned. And I committed to, no matter what else is going on, that I'm committed to making sure I get to the gym on a regular basis, even with travel, that I'm sticking to fairly good eating habits and all that stuff, not drinking as much alcohol as maybe I was before. I mean, I wasn't drinking a lot, but just really watching that as well. And, it really, it really has a huge impact on just my mental alertness, my capacity to stay up later at night. I just feel much more energized, and so it's really been rewarding on that front as well. Not just the physical and the changes in how I feel, but just the mental piece of it. I think is so important.
How did you, I mean, because I have to admit, I do Pilates religiously every morning. First thing, get out of bed, have my gym clothes on, and I'm fortunate that the Pilates studio is just less than 5 minutes from my house. So that's how I
Nice.
start my day every morning. And but I'm not so good when I travel. So how do you do that? Because I mean, there was a period of time. I think you were like seems like you were on the road every week for a few months there.
Yeah, and it's happening again. I've been on the road quite a bit. I was home, I think, last week for a full week. Or Friday I was out of town, but tomorrow I head to Indianapolis, and then the week after I'm in San Diego for conferences and presentations. It's not as easy, like you said. If you're used to your Pilates studio or my Anytime Fitness or the gym where I lift weights. But one of the things that I found is that most hotels have, at least they have treadmills. Some of them have some kind of interval training, Pilates type equipment. The Bosa balls or something. It's not quite the same though, and I've tried doing like interval training and setting my own up. It's not the same intensity. It's not the same kind of full body. So it's much more difficult. And then add to that, you've traveled some. Even if you think you're eating well and doing good healthy stuff, this stuff is just full of salt and oils and other spices and fats, and so it's very hard to behave and be disciplined on the road. But I try to give myself a little bit of grace and know that one of the things that I've kept in mind, just like uh, ebbs and flows of work and hours and things, that there's not a linear kind of path to your health. It's more consistency over time, and so those checkpoints. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a different routine. It's a different time of day that you're doing it. It's you don't have the group support, and so. But one thing I force myself to do is get on the treadmill at least. If I'm on the road 3 days, at least try to get in there 2 days. Just to make sure that I'm doing something.
Well, I can learn that one from you. I was in Fort Lauderdale last week, and yes, they had a gym. I went 0 times. I've not been ever good about going to the gym when I travel. So I just like, look at Dad. He's traveling and he's still finding a way or time to go to the gym. Tell us a little bit. You've been really participating a lot in helping the youth and other matters in the Supreme Court that you report on. So tell us a little bit about how you do that and how you do that and maintain your practice as well as your exercise, all the things that you're doing.
Sure, and for me, I mean, all of it's indirectly related to the practice and business development. But I don't do any hard selling. I don't solicit people. But even at Anytime Fitness or my lifting partners, it's always a conversation, and people know what I do. The Supreme Court that you mentioned, I took an interest in that when I was in law school. The way that any classes are taught, no matter what your major is, you never really get a good insights into the context of anything. It's just if you're doing business, you just kind of get these practicums or problems. And so I wrote a book. I guess it's 5 years ago now. This month, wow. Time flies. I thought it was 4, but yeah, it's 2019. It published April of 2019 on the Supreme Court and the Chief Justices. And I write a weekly column for the Chicago Daily Law Bulletin, and I track and follow the Supreme Court, try to make it accessible and try to help people understand what's going on with the court, its decisions, and how it impacts our lives. On the youth front, for many years I was president of Lawyers Lend a Hand to Youth. In my lifting days, when I was a competitive power lifter, I used to raise money for Lawyers Lend a Hand to Youth, which I was president of eventually, and that went to inner city mentoring programs and one-on-one tutoring programs. And I enjoy that. I enjoy giving back. I try to mentor a lot of students in law school, young lawyers. And again, it just fits into the day. I mean, one of the things that I think when you look at folks' schedules, the reality is if you're billing, say 1,800 hours a year as a number, that's like 5 hours a day, weekdays, and so that's 5 hours out of 24 hours. So everybody has time in the day. You sleep, 7 or 8 or whatever you sleep. I probably don't sleep enough, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of time in the day, and people make choices about how they use it, and have an interest in giving back and kind of helping people again understand various things. And I've always enjoyed the youth types of support. I had a lot of mentors in my life and folks, teachers or coaches or other people that helped me, and so just want to give back.
What are some of the other organizations that you participate in as well?
So yeah, so I'm right now I'm president-elect of the National Conference of Bar Presidents, which is an organization under the umbrella of the American Bar Association, and its purpose is to help presidents of bars and leaders of bar associations for lawyers across the country be better. We give them tools, training, takeaways that they can use, and so that's something I'm very involved in. In that, I'm also the president of the advisory board of a group called the Justice Entrepreneurs Project, which is an incubator program created a decade ago in Chicago by the Chicago Bar Foundation. That's really trying to solve or help solve the access to justice issues for many Americans. It's got a different structure, and it's been very successful. And like I said, it celebrated its 10th anniversary last fall, and has about 60 lawyers in it, and enjoy doing that as well. And those right now are about it. I'm also on my board of trustees of my undergraduate college, Monmouth College, and we're pleased. We just hired our 15th president, our second female president, Pat Draves, and we're looking forward to her starting in June. And so those are the things that keep me busy. And when I'm not doing work or reading or working out, I spend time with my wife and family.
Great. So now, I don't know if I reading into it, because I just observed your posts on LinkedIn, which you're very consistent with that. But it seemed like as you started increasing your fitness and your commitment to fitness, it seemed like it kind of expanded into your career. And then you recently changed law firms. Could you tell us a little bit about that evolution?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think that, again, I think that just feeling better mentally, and just the mental part of it, the kind of physical part as well, feel much better. And it really does make a difference in energy and just ability to not drag, but kind of go into these winter years with some energy. I did just recently change law firms. I was at a great law firm, and now I'm at Dickinson Wright PLLC. Just a bigger platform with better support, and it's been great. I joined her in January, and again, I think I've transitioned several times in my career. I think that this one, again, from a toll, like mentally and just how tired I was, probably was less. And again, I think that's because, like you said, it kind of all is intertwined, in the physical and mental, just being better health. Just made it an easier transition this time than in the past. I don't. Blood pressure is probably better. My, all of my signs and readings probably are much better. So it just makes for less stress on your system.
Yeah, I want to underline that, because I have the same thing, as I have a great doctor. They check my blood and all my areas. And, I just did a post. In March, I turned 75. Yes, that's it. I'm like, oh my God. Whenever I look at the chronology, I don't feel like it, but I really, as I get older, I become more involved in my fitness. And someone said, Pamela, how do you look so young? I said, it's a religion. It's like a religion, eating right and
It
fitness
is.
and all of that. And so it's just really, because you do want to expand, and I'm having the same sort of expansion in my coaching business, and I really like to encourage people to really put your health at the forefront, and that's why I think Dan is such a great example. Before we go, I did ask Dan to complete our stress relief test. So tell us what you thought about it and what you thought about your result and all that.
Sure. So it's a stress-free test. I encourage you to contact Pamela to take it. It takes a minute or maybe a little more. Some basic questions about how you feel about certain things, and I think my score was a 19, which was not terrible. And again, I think if you'd asked me those same questions a year ago, a year and a half ago, when again I was at the heaviest I've probably been in a long time, and just not in a very good shape, even though I was lifting, but I just wasn't doing the cardio and eating better. And so I wasn't surprised by the results. And again, I think I was thinking about that, though, as I did go through it, because some of the answers probably, again, would have been a little bit different, stress levels or irritants back, a few years ago. And so I think it's a good thing. And, like anything, there's room for me to get better on some of those. And so, maybe I'll take it again in 6 months or so and see if the continued physical, fitness thing helps with that score.
Right. Sometimes it's what day you take it.
Right.
what level your stress is. But anyway, we're going to put the stress relief test in the comments. It's free. Just take it, check yourself, and then that way you can kind of make some adjustments. So again, thank you so much for joining us, Dan. Welcome everyone who's, we're not excluding millennials or Gen Z, but there's a lot out there for millennials and Gen Z, and we want to include and not have ageism and include the Gen X and boomers in the conversation here about vitality, success, energy, and of course, making more money. So we'll see you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.